بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسرعة كده نكمل موضوع ال coordination and response وناخد ال blend coordination and response. Our target, first of all, we review what is the stimulus, what is the response, what are the receptors, and so on. And we will start by a receptor. They are specialized cell, يعني cell changing its function to be specialized in detecting any change or stimuli, like a sound, image, change in pressure in the skin, pain, change in glucose level in the blood. These changes may be in the external environment, like this image, sound, or internal environment, like a change the blood glucose level, change the body temperature, and so on. The coordination centers such as brain, spinal cord, or glands like pancreas, pituitary gland, which receive signal from the receptor and give a response to an effector organ. This effector may be a muscle, maybe target organ, maybe, and so on. The effector may be muscle or gland, and so the response will include muscle contraction or hormone release. In plant, the situation is a little bit different and limited according to the needs, because the needs of the gland has organized symptoms and organs like animals. So only the we are calling this response in the gland is trophic response is tropism, and are the plant growth response. It is only related for growth of the plant. To changes in the environment, like changes in light, water, and gravity. And we are giving them names. But changes to light, we are calling it phototropism. What's the phototropism? It is the plant growth response to light. And hydrotropism is the plant growth response to water. And gravitropism is the plant growth response to gravity, and so on. Okay? So different part of the gland respond specifically. So shoots, which is growing up, it have to grow upward toward light, away from gravity, so that leaves are able to absorb light. Why? In the exam will ask you, while the shoots are growing up, it will go toward light because the leaves have to do photosynthesis, and photosynthesis need to absorb energy from sunlight to finish the process to provide nutrition to the whole plant. So they have to grow toward light, sunlight. So it is moving, as it is moving up, it is moving away from gravity. So we are telling that shoots have positive phototropic response or phototropism, and negative gravitropism. Negative because it's growing against gravity, and the positive phototropism because it is growing the plant growth response here, or the plant response here is toward the sunlight. Roots has the opposite, so they are growing downward into the soil. Why? To absorb water and minerals, and to anchor the plant in the soil, to keep the plant standing up in the soil. So الروتس بتنمو لتحت عشان تثبت النبات في الارض وعشان تابزورب الووتر والمينرالز. This means that نقول ايه بقى؟ نقول على الروتس they have negative phototropism لانها بتنمو عكس الضوء. They are growing in the opposite direction to light, away from light, and the positive gravitropic response. Remember, in the exam common question explanation about shoots, while shoots are going up toward light because they need to absorb the energy from sunlight to help the photosynthesis of the plant, and why the roots are going down to anchor the plant in the soil and to absorb water and mineral from the soil. Okay. In order to do this movement, explanation is in this growth hormone called auxin in the plant. This auxin is the main playing factor here, which controls the direction of growth of roots and stem. Therefore, we say that plant controls their growth chemically because it is controlled through this growth hormone. And auxin is mostly made in the tips of the growing stem and roots, and can diffuse to the other part of the stem or roots. And oxygen is made at tips, is related to the tips because tips is the grown, and then from tips it is growing to the different part of stem and roots. Auxin makes the cell behind the tip get longer. يعني elongation, the plant is not growing from its tip. The plant growing from auxin are produced in the tip, This chemical hormone is produced at the tip and diffusing down. When it is diffusing down, stimulating this cell to grow. So this cell will push the tip up and so on. Okay, mechanism that if light shine all around the tip, the oxygen is distributed evenly around the cell and the cell will all grow at the same rate. If the oxygen is the light is distributed equally on the tip, then the oxygen will be distributed according to the light, distributed equally on both sides of the tip, and so the plant will grow directly in the direction of light. But when the light is coming from one side of the tip, the oxygen will move to the opposite side, to the shade side, that side where is no light. لما يروح للمكان اللي ما فيهوش ضوء، لما الضوء يقع من اليمين من هنا، فالاكسجين كله هيتجمع في الناحيه الشمال. طالما اتجمع هنا هيستيموليت السيلز دي انها تنمو. على فكره معلومه بس زياده للناس for people who wants to know everything. بعضكم طبعا في ناس بتبقى عايزه تعرف why he is increasing. الاكسجين بيعمل ايه؟ بيسند اوردر the production of gene from the nucleus to form certain enzymes. This enzyme will break the cellulose wall, because the cell wall here may prevent the cells here from becoming larger or from growth. So what we do is he's causing some enzyme to break down the cellulose fibers in the cell wall, so allowing the cell to become elongated and so on. So why is the cell here in the shade side, in the side away from light, is it become growing more? Because oxygen is stimulating this. So cell will become, when these cells are growing faster, so the tip will move toward the light, because the cell here is growing faster than the cell here on the side of on the light side. So the whole tip will move toward the light. If the light is evenly or equally distributed over the tip, the oxygen will be evenly distributed. Well, oxygen hate light, is going away from light. When the cells that have more oxygen as a rule, these cells will grow faster. So the unique growth of other cells should cause the shoot to bend and grow in this situation. So this is another diagram showing that light, if the light is in, oxygen will flow downward, move downward, and causing, when moving downward, cause the elongation of this cells, so the tip will move toward the light. Oxygen, when the light is coming from side, the oxygen will move to the shade side, to the other side, causing the elongation of this cell, and the tip will move toward the light. طيب, the role of oxygen can be tested using seeding placed in a box like this. This is one of the experiment how to test the effect of oxygen by using seeds placed in a box that has a slit, dark box, and have only a hole in its side. So you will feel that the seeds that are away from light, it will grow up, and the seeds that are near to light, it will grow towards the light source. We can investigate this in the phototropism. That in the exam, he may give you the experiment like this and ask for explanation why this is moving toward the light, and why this is not moving toward the light, and why this plant is not moving toward the light, and so on. Here we are using a growing plant. Wheat, maize, oat, crease seeding can be used to demonstrate phototropism. 3 identical plants. If you are using maize, use maize in the 3 in A, B, and C, in the 3 situations. The seeding A is growing toward the light source. We have box here, dark box, light brown box, and he has unilateral opening here. Unilateral, يعني one side opening only. In this box B, we are putting something called اسمه كلايموستات. كلايموستات ده حاجة كده بتحط فوقيها البلانت ويبقى بيلف الكلاينوستاتس moving regularly in a rounded movement. فعشان كده all parts of the seeds or parts of the exposed shoots are exposed to the light, this side hole with light equally. And this box there is no clinostat and there is no side opening. There is no light at all. It is a light-proof box. So the finding is that you will find is that in B, the presence of the clinostat and the revolving slowly and repeatedly. So light will be distributed to the all part of the gland of the plant evenly or equally. So when there is equal amount of light, there will be no bending of the plant. But here in set A, you will find that the plants, the growing shoots are moving toward the light side because of presence of oxygen. In C, the seedling grow upright up, straight up as there is no light. There is no light to move toward it, and but there is yellowing leaves because of lack of light. In the exam, you will be asked about shoots, growth of shoots only, the effect of light on the growth of shoots. Your syllabus doesn't require you to know anything about the effect of light or gravity or growth or roots, so don't spend the time learning anything about it. Okay. Gravitropism in shoots. So we will see now the experiment. Just bring a cotton wool and wet cotton wool and put in and you need 2 petri dish and place 3 bean seeds in the cotton wool in each petri dish. Put one horizontal, put one vertical, and the other one 2 are vertical and 1 is horizontal. But the verticals are opposite to each other. يعني, when the seeds are growing, you will find something called the shoots are growing and the roots are growing. So the when roots grow from some part coming from the seeds, it's coming from a part called the radicle. And the shoots, the part of the first part of a plant that going up towards the light, it's called gumules. So we have both the radical up in one seed in Q1 and both the radical down in R1, and in B both the seeds horizontal. Then cover the petri dish and after putting of course water, put this petri dish on its side in a support wood base like this. So the other set we will use this petri dish, the same petri dish, but we'll connect it to clinostat. So place a light proof box around just because we are measuring here the effect of gravity. So there should be no effect of light at all. So we are putting this system in a light proof box just to eliminate the effect, to eliminate the effect of light on this experiment. Okay. The petri dish in A, all radicals have grown downward. In A, you will find the radical are growing downward, but the plumule, which is will form shoots and the stem in the future, it will go upward. And here, all radicals will grow down. The radicals will move here and move down, and the shoots and the plumule will move up. So positive gravitropism, regardless of which way they were initially facing, horizontal or up or down. And all plumules shoots have growth upward. Negative gravitropism response. So what we are trying to investigate the effect of gravity on the radical and the plumule. We are bringing seeds and putting in a cotton wool in a petri dish and keeping this petri dish standing on its edge like this. And put in a light proof box just to eliminate the effect of light on the growing radical or plumule. And at the same time, the set B, we are keeping the same petri dish, the same another set of petri dish, and they keep the same arrangement on the same bean seeds, the same cotton wool, the same petri dish, and they keep it connected to clinostat to rotate it repeatedly. So in petri dish B as a radical and the plumule, this presence of clino stat here will eliminate the effect of gravity. So the plant will be deceived. So all seeds, radicle, and the brevule will move straight, either according to its original situation, either straight upward or downward, or straight horizontally, and so on. So the clinostat cancel out the effect of unilateral light or gravity. If you need to cancel the effect of light, move the clinostat. Or gravity, this plant, because of we are direction of rotation, are rotating the plant, so the plant will not feel we will eliminate the effect of gravity. This is a function of the clinostat. Commercial uses of plant hormone, they are used as selective weed killer. Most weeds growing in the field of crop have broad leaves. This weed that is harmful to the plant and sharing the crops its nutrition, so decreasing their growth and development. So they found that if we add auxin, if we make selective weed killer from auxin, and it will affect only the broadleaf plant by disturbing their growth and causing their death, and eventually they get killed, and the grass that has narrow leaves will continue to grow. The second use of commercial use of plant hormone, like growing of cutting from plant by using rotting powder. If you are cutting a branch from a tree and you are putting it in the soil in a trial to make it grow and make a copy of the same tree, it will not grow. But if you cut this cutting and containing some leaves, and you put auxin, what we are calling that rooting powder, the cutting will make roots and start to grow and make a new copy of the original plant. The third use is producing seedless fruit, like seedless جوافة. If you can remember this seedless جوافة, الجوافة اللي ما فيهاش بذور. ازاي بنستخدم plant hormone called gibberellin is used to by adding it to the flower of some fruits. بنحطها للفراولة before the flower going into pollination, before going into insect pollination. So the fruits will be produced without seeds. And the fourth use of commercial use of plant that controlling seed germination. The same gibberellin, the same hormones, gibberellins will allow the seeds to germinate in a part of a year that is unusual for it to germinate. And the last is controlling ripening of fruits. Sometimes the farmers are collecting these fruits before being ripe, so they are keeping in the refrigerator and to just to trying to sell it in a time that the price would be higher than higher than its regular time. So in order to ripe this fruit, some countries are adding a hormone called the ethene is added to the unripened fruits just on the way to the supermarket, and it will be perfect and fresh when it reaches the supermarket. Thank you, and we'll meet inshallah in the next video to explain another topic. I think reproduction, inshallah.